Okay, everyone, we are live. How cool is that? Welcome, everyone, to my first ever Sunday live horror chat. And now, hang on, got to do this. Show. Welcome, everyone, to our live horror chat.
Nice.
And guys, I just want to please encourage you to give us a comment, say hi. I will check every now and then at the comments and we'll get back to you. And please give us some questions as well. It'd be really nice to hear from you. And yeah, I want to introduce my awesome guest. And this is Nick from another booktube channel.
That's me.
And Nick reads all sorts of different kinds of genres. From what I see, mainly fantasy and horror, maybe a little bit other stuff as well. And he's passionate about comics and graphic novels as well.
Absolutely.
He's knowledgeable, he's passionate. And yeah, I'm just so happy to have you on the chat with me. Welcome, Nick.
Yeah, thanks, Cliff. Happy to be here. I was glad that you asked me to join. Pretty cool to be the first guest. Hey, Alicia, Gareth, Brad in the chat. How you guys doing?
Hey, okay, now you see that's the thing. I've done a banner. Now I'm going to go back to comments. Yeah, hi guys. Hi, Alicia. Hey, Gareth. So we just keep an eye on that, eh? Yeah. So tell us a bit about yourself. Tell us a bit about your reading background.
Oh, sure. So I have been reading my whole life. The earliest reading memories that I have, and this, immediately ties into the horror chat, the horror aspect, origins of horror. My earliest memories of reading are with Goosebumps. This is not my childhood copy of this book, unfortunately. I bought this at a yard sale, but
that's a good one, by the way.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Like the OG, the Haunted Mask, great. But yeah, I've been reading. I started with Goosebumps. I was obsessed with those, and I really don't remember like other series that I read as a kid. Like I never got into Harry Potter or anything like that. I don't remember reading like Magic Treehouse or the other popular kids series. I just remember Goosebumps, and like then when R.L. Stine started doing like young adult books, like a little bit older, I shifted towards those as well. So I've always been interested in horror. Horror was very much the thing that got me into reading, which is terrific, and it's why I encourage parents to allow their kids to read stuff that scares them, because they can handle it. If they want to do it, let them do it. And I also distinctly remember going straight from Goosebumps to Stephen King.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's not.
So because like I said, I remember that there's this one R.L. Stine book I have very fond memories of, and I would love to get a copy of it. I think it's out of print. I think oh god. Is it I think it might be The Nightmare Hour or something like that. No. Oh, I can't remember the name of it. But it had these great short stories. They were a little bit skewed older, and I read that thing to death. And then that kind of launched me into Stephen King. And part of the reason I went to Stephen King is I grew up in the 90s, and Stephen King, like TV miniseries were a big thing in the 90s. Yeah. And so I would watch those with my family, and I watched like Stanley Kubrick's The Shining.
So your parents let you watch the miniseries?
Yeah, Stanley Kubrick's The Shining was introduced to me by like my father, and he's not even really a film guy. I think it was just on one night, and like we watched it.
That's very cool.
Yeah, and that was that was it. I never looked back. Now, I think like a lot of people, I stopped reading for pleasure like in high school, like in school. Because you got other priorities that you're thinking about as a teenager.
Absolutely. I actually stopped when I became a teacher. Because when you become a teacher, you can't read what you really, really want to read. Mm-hmm. You're reading textbooks, and you're reading the kids' work,
right?
Marking, reading all the signed texts. So I had a really hard time reading what I wanted to read when I became a teacher. course, I taught for a long time, but still, then I read a whole lot of other stuff. But yeah, I kind of had to stop reading horror. And the funny thing you say about Goosebumps is, as a South African, I've never read Goosebumps, ever. I've never read Goosebumps.
Yeah, wow.
It's like my introduction into horror was movies. My parents were away when I was very young, and my brothers and I would sneak in and watch a horror movie somewhere.
Nice.
Or they were out for dinner, and I watched The Omen 2. That was my first.
Wow.
And nightmares for me. Yeah.
See, that's funny. I have two older brothers as well, but I don't really credit them with like showing me stuff that like mom and dad didn't want me to see. I kind of, I guess, developed that on my own. I didn't have that experience where like the older brother teaches the younger brother like this is the really cool stuff. I feel like I'm the first one of my brothers to be really cool.
Yeah. Should we just stop for a second and say how's it to people? You happy? Sorry, how's it in South Africa means should we stop for a second and say hello to people?
Oh yeah, sure.
They're watching, yeah. Okay, so we got Bad. We got Cats, Novel Adventures. There you go. Hi guys, I can't stay, but I'll watch a replay. Thanks, Cat.
Thanks, Cat.
Okay, and then we got Bad is Rad. Good morning, friends. Good morning, Bad. Okay, let's go down. I said something about Goosebumps here.
Yeah. Bad about that comment. So I wish I had all of my originals too. I know exactly which ones you mean. It's these ones. The reprints have a different like cover and like scheme and everything, and it's nice. But there's something super charming about the originals that I wish I had my original. I don't know why I got rid of them. I mean, I aged out of them is the thing, and I did. Who would have known that I would have been a booktuber one day? That I'd keep them.
That's so cool. And that way, she's got another thing, yeah. You see, I'm multitasking here, guys. This is new to me, but okay. And TV shows, Goosebumps.
Oh,
Are You Afraid of the Dark? Awesome. Okay.
Yeah,
and the Secret of Nim. Secret of Nim. Hello, Nim. Good to have you on the show.
Hey, Anita.
And Anita, yeah. That's my wife, by the way.
Oh, hi, Anita.
And Alicia. We had Alicia. We had Gareth. Diana.
Diana's my partner.
Sorry?
Diana's my partner.
Oh, hello, Diana. Don't worry, we're going to do well. And then, okay, yeah.
Yeah, the TV show Goosebumps was awesome, and that's another instance of like early horror. I can't remember for sure, but I wonder if I saw the TV show Goosebumps before I started reading the actual books. I don't know which one led to which because it was all around the same time for me. You know, I was all the same age, but yeah, I loved that show. Actually, fun little Easter egg trivia in the episode "Say Cheese and Die" of Goosebumps. A young Ryan Gosling is the star of that episode. Go back and check it out.
Like I say, I've never read Goosebumps.
Yeah.
I'm missing out on my childhood, eh?
yeah. You should pick up like one. Pick up The Haunted Mask or like Stay Out of the Basement.
You can't find them here. You can't find them here. Maybe if I go to a specialist bookshop somewhere in Johannesburg, which is our biggest city, I might find something there. But you do not find them here. You do not find those comics here.
That's a shame.
And a lot of graphic novels that I actually bought graphic novels of Clive Barker a couple of shows ago. I showed off some graphic novels. I bought those at a very specialized shop. But otherwise, you can't really find them here. And they're very expensive because they're all imported. And then they raise the price by like twice for South Africans. So it's kind of crazy.
Are you able to do ebooks? Do you do ebooks at all? Because I'm sure the Goosebumps are available.
Ebooks, but it's not the same thing. In ebooks, you can't see the graphics in it. So maybe I should just buy one. And see
I meant for like Goosebumps. Like graphic novels, I agree. I don't like to do the ebook of a graphic novel, but like Goosebumps, you can find it like a little Kindle version.
Okay, we're going to move on to the next thing, right?
Let's do it.
And hang on. See, I've got to get used to this stuff here. Comments. Sorry, Diane, I've got to get rid of the comment here. I know how to do it. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. Okay, then we are coming to why horror What is it about horror that you enjoy? What is it about the genre that gets to you? And I know you love fantasy, and I love fantasy as well. I grew up in fantasy. I love the world building and the characters and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
What is it about horror that appeals to you? And then you talk about your favorite subgenres, your favorite niches. But first, one thing at a time. Why horror?
Why horror? I mean, there's probably someone out there that could explain like the scientific, psychological aspect of it. I think what it ultimately boils down to is that it's fun to be scared in a controlled environment. And that last part is the most important part, because there are people that live in fear and have like scary things happen to them that they're not having a good time, and that's that's correct. You're not if you're in a real world. Yes,
in the real world, you're not having a good time.
Right. If you're in a real world scary situation that you have no control over, that's not fun. But when you can control, when you have a little bit of controlled fear, something that manufactures that fight or flight response in you, that gets you that adrenaline rush, and then it ends. What happens after that adrenaline rush ends? When we finish a scary book or scary movie, what we all instinctively usually will laugh or like we'll chuckle, like we'll like like wow, like that was crazy.
It's like hey, I survived. I survived.
It's like
I survived the roller coaster. Now let's go again. Let's do it again.
It's that relief that you made it through, and there was really no real danger, but you got that simulation of danger. I think that's the big appeal. That, and like you say, roller coasters. I think that's why people do that. I personally don't do roller coasters. I consider that to be a real danger.
At 53, I used to do them. I used to love roller coasters. The higher, the more dangerous, the better. Yeah. But at 53, no. I'll take my dog for a walk. That's the biggest.
I don't even. I don't do like those real experiences, that stuff. I like to have the controlled like piece of media that gives me a little scare. But it's ultimately that feeling of, I know that I can put this book down and relax, my muscles untense, and I know that the danger is past. It's all fake.
It's cathartic. It's a cathartic experience. It's like, done. I can put it down. It's great. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And also, during the ride, it's a thrill. I mean, it is a thrill. And facing those monsters and facing that stuff.
Yeah.
But, as you said, from a safe place.
Generate that fight or flight response, generate that adrenaline, but safely. And also, so that's probably more like the real like psychological explanation. Personally, also, from a I just love monsters. I like a really cool monster.
Me too, man.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a very visual person. Like, even though obviously books, you have to do it all in your head. I started also with, movies and TV. Like, here, hold on.
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. I used to love Scooby-Doo.
Yes. I grew up on Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. I watched this movie to death as a kid. This is still to this day my favorite zombie movie. And I've seen all the Romero movies. I've seen all the best zombie movies. This is my favorite zombie movie.
Okay, but no words to that, but strokes for different folks.
And what was I saying? Monsters. So Scooby-Doo was a Monster of the Week situation. Even though the monsters were never real, you got to see a new cool monster design. Yeah. And that's also why I love like 80s horror movies, because I think that was the peak of practical horror monster effects and makeup. Yeah. And then, after that, it all became a little bit of CG-ified.
Yeah, funny enough, and I'll go back to like the 70s. Yeah. I like and you talk about George Romero, Night of the Living Dead. My favorites, perhaps in my top 3, but my favorite zombie movie is Dawn of the Dead. Very slow-moving zombies.
Yeah.
Not exactly 80s. Very like the makeup is almost silly.
Yeah.
But it's just wave after wave after. So there's a tension and a dread there in that movie, and it's also intelligent. It's got like a social commentary because it takes place in a shopping mall. Have you seen that movie?
Yes.
Yeah. So it takes place in a shopping mall, and it's like the zombies are looking at all the material stuff that's around them that they can't touch anymore, and it's almost like it's tapping into. They remember something about their former lives.
Yeah,
it's so interesting. And a lot of the 70s movies that didn't have the CGI and all that stuff, but they tapped into different fears and different things. I really appreciate that job.
Yeah, Dawn of the Dead was very much touching on commercialism and like that like capitalist mentality that's so ingrained in us, particularly in America. And did Tom Savini do the effects in Dawn of the Dead? Do you know?
I can't remember that.
I know. I think he did because I think he's in it. He's one of the motorcycle dudes. Now that I think about it, so I like Dawn of the Dead. Day of the Dead is actually my favorite of that original trilogy because I think Tom Savini's makeup effects in that one are some of the best that I've ever seen, like up to today.
I'm sorry, my second best is going back to We're Coming to Get You, Barbara.
Oh.
In black and white. In black and white. Not to the living dead. It's just iconic. It's and that scene where the mother is dead in the attic, remember, in the house. Right. And the child has got a bone of the mother and trying on.
Yeah.
Just for a moment you see that when the trap door opens.
Yeah.
And it's terrifying.
And the ending of that one is one of the most shocking in film history.
Racial commentary in that.
Yeah. And I don't care what Romero says, because Romero has said, it was never meant to be a racial thing. Baloney. Absolutely meant to be.
No, rubbish.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what we do. Quickly. Day of the Dead is amazing. Thanks, Gareth. Just do a quick thing of the comments again.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Let's just check some of them. Still got Bad. We got Gareth here. Got Secret of Nim. I'm glad you better. Bad. What? Spaminator. Is that? In my opinion, it's one of the most human genres possible. Monsters and all. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Gareth says, good points, Spaminator. Leslie. Hi, Leslie. I don't know why I love horror and dark fiction, but I sense it. I was a little girl. It's odd because I'm afraid of the dark even more. Even now. Yeah. And then
that's it. I mean, some people like to face their fears again in that controlled way. You can control how much the movie scares you or the book scares you.
Yeah. Should we move on to books?
Yeah.
You want to move on to books? I'm happy to carry on with movies, but should we chat about books just for a bit?
Yeah, let's do it. What are we doing?
Okay.
What are we talking about?
I'm gonna find a banner here because I'm just good at this. Favorite books, authors. I'm gonna get really good at this.
It's all practice.
Well, it's practice there. So what do you think about what are some of your favorite books? And then we'll talk about authors. And you told me to sell you on one of the authors. I'm going to do that.
Sure. Yeah. All right. So I mean, I already had a few names. That I obviously I mentioned Stephen King. You can't talk about horror without talking about Stephen King.
Absolutely.
I got my It here.
Oh yeah.
So this, I remember I read this when I was like 11 or 12. Like this was one of those first Stephen King books that I read. I got from the library. Yeah. It was the big hardcover.
My first book.
Yeah. And it's fantastic. And excuse me. And so I've been reading Stephen King my entire life. I credit him very much with keeping me interested in books. When I mentioned I stopped reading in high school, getting back into reading like after college, in college, being able to pick up Stephen King is invaluable because he's such an accessible author, but he's also a great writer. And like he's written so many books over so many decades now that no matter what kind of horror you like, he's probably written something that you're gonna like.
And even not necessarily horror anymore. He's just a storyteller. I mean, a lot of his books has come out in the last decade. Not so much horror. I mean, a crime, we've got thrillers. We're actually busy with Bill Hodges trilogy, which is brilliant, and it's a crime thriller.
I
and
read
he also
the first book.
11/22/63. That is not a horror, but it is absolutely brilliant. Over to you.
Yeah, Mr. Mercedes, I read and I really enjoyed. I have to finish the Bill Hodges trilogy. I haven't gotten back to it, and I have to retry 11/22/63 because I did DNF it.
Did you DNF? Oh
yeah.
no! Oh no! I'm kicking you out of the studio. I'm getting out.
but I've heard so many people say like it's one of his best. But I remember when I read it when it first came out. That's when I was first reading it, and I think it was a little bit too like it wasn't quite what I wanted it to be. Like I had a kind of idea of how I wanted it to go, and then in the middle of it, I was like,
maybe you were expecting more horror, monsters,
not necessarily more horror. I was just like, I felt like it was too much of like the preamble, because you know how in that book he doesn't go right to JFK stuff. He goes back in time and he just kind of stays there for a while. Like that to me, that slice of life stuff went on for too long, and it made it. I lost my momentum on it.
If I have any criticism of that novel, I'm South African, so I don't understand American politics that well at all. But King does get very political, right?
Yeah,
he gets political.
Yeah.
And in this particular book, there was a stretch in the middle where he does delve into the politics of the whole thing quite a bit. But other than that, the more I think on it, the book as a whole for me is absolutely magnificent. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I have to try it again. I do.
Yeah, now give it another go. Yeah. And if you DNF it again, just don't come back to my show.
Quick diversion, because I see in the comments someone's asking for like favorite graphic novels, and
hang on. I'm going to get to those. Let's look for these comments again. Hang on, hide. Let's go back to the comments. I'm sure I could do this quicker. I think on my 10th episode, I'll be like grease lightning with this stuff. Okay, but let's go back to the comments. Nice and easy. It's a slow pace doing it. Okay, so who's talking? Which ones did you see? Oh, let's just go through some again.
Yeah, well, I see. Brad asked. Oh, sorry, you go.
Okay, no, it's fine. My wife's just happy that people are better. Lynn's happy. Spaminator all started me when my uncle pulled out. Okay, we're going back to movies. Sorry. Thanks for the comment. Congrats on the launch. Thanks, man. Thanks, Dave. Dave and Olive. I love that channel. You seen that channel? Book Black.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm subscribed. I love any thumbnail that has olive in it. And I go, yeah, olive. Which is all of them. All of them have olive in it.
Yeah, he's doing a great haul now where his daughter tried to throw away all these books, and he's just thinking, no, you don't do that. Give them to me. I'll haul them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Smart move.
Hang on, what's that? I'm trying to find a proper rec for a good horror graphic novel. Sorry, we're a little bit late for these ones. Lock and Key is a favorite horror. Haunting of Hill House. It's awesome for that reason. This is actually a good one. Another thing that's unique about horror fiction, it takes serious skill to craft a successful dread-inducing atmosphere. Not everyone understands how to pull it off.
Haunting of Hill House is good for that reason. Yeah, I agree. And I know you weren't a fan of Haunting of Hill House, actually.
Sorry, I was?
You weren't a fan of Haunting of Hill House.
No. But funny enough, the second book she did, actually, I think this is actually her debut novel. We Have Always Lived in the Castle. I'm not sure which came first.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Yeah, but I love that. I love it. But there was just something about the characters in The Haunting of Hill House that annoyed the hell out of me. And it just continued to annoy me. I couldn't enjoy it. It's just something, for you it's 11/22/63. For me, it's The Haunting of Hill House. Unpopular decisions, right?
Yeah. Everyone's allowed an unpopular opinion. It's fun.
Okay.
Highlight Leslie's. I want to respond to Leslie's real quick.
Okay, yeah, I'm trying to find it.
It should just be two of them. There you go.
Yeah, this one.
Yes, the slice of life stuff is what makes King great. I agree. I do generally love the slice of life stuff that Stephen King does. He did a lot in The Stand. Like that's another really long book that has huge stretches of just people living. But I found that much more engaging than 11/22 because I think environment matters and the story that the slice of life is within matters because he's also done it in like his small town books like Needful Things, or I don't know, I can't remember any other right now, but ultimately like the slice of life in 11/22/63, it was keeping me from the thing that I wanted, which was the time travel JFK stuff. I was really excited about that, and so the longer I didn't get that, the more I just lost momentum and was a little disappointed. So I don't mean to say that the slice of life stuff wasn't good. It's just that it wasn't what I was looking for in this particular novel.
I think what Stephen King does so well is, besides his ability to tell a story, to tell an epic story,
yes,
it's his characters. And his characters are the things that attract me in Stephen King novels, and including 11/22/63. It's Jake Epping, isn't it? No, it's not Jake Epping. It's Jake, I can't remember now. But that teacher, that English teacher, and a kind of love story that happens. I don't want to give spoilers away, but it happens like halfway through the book when he meets this teacher, and he just tells characters and community so well. And for me, that's
yes.
And all my favorite Stephen King books, like It, The Stand, The Shining, even have just such brilliant characters that you always remember, especially It. I mean, you got the Losers Club. I related to the Losers Club big time.
Yeah, a lot of people do. Yeah.
You know, so it's just special the way he tells the story. Yeah. The other books. Yeah, go on.
Oh, I was gonna say I know you're gonna sell me on Clive Barker in a moment, but I feel like I need to sell the chat. I need to sell the chat and you on Haunting of Hill House because there's a few people in the chat who are not a fan of Haunting of Hill House. And
there's more.
Yeah, I see. Book Blather said it. Alicia said it.
Hey, at least I've got some moral stuff here.
Look,
thanks, guys. Yeah. Let me just. Hey, I don't have to undo the other one. Yeah, a bit overwhelming with all the hype.
Yeah.
A few people agree with me, eh?
Yeah. So hype is a big thing. Hype. Whenever you have a classic, hype is going to be a very difficult thing to overcome, especially when we're so used to modern horror that's a little bit more active, and like the ghosts are more prevalent. With Haunting of Hill House, I think definitely time period and the type of story it is and when it was written is a bit more important. And once you are able to get past those preconceived notions of what you think it might be based on like some of the movies that came out, like adaptations, it is not really a ghost story or like a haunted house story.
It's the gothic tale. It's not a horror.
It is a gothic haunted person story. It's someone who has paranoia. It's somebody who feels outcast and doesn't feel like they have a place in the world, and who are the main character, Eleanor, is putting herself in a situation that is extremely different than she has done her entire life. She's not happy with her introverted life. I think she's living with her sister who's overbearing or something like that. And she puts herself in a new situation to try to break out of that. And she finds herself completely overwhelmed by those personalities of those people that she meets. So they're annoying a little bit on purpose because
they're bloody annoying. They're bloody annoying.
Yeah, they're meant to kind of talk over her, talk down to her a bit.
But can I tell you though? But and I get that. And I recently reread it as well. I actually did a reread, and I tried to read it like from a different angle. You know, coming in from the point of view, I'm not reading this book to be terrified or horrified or scared, because that's where the first time I read it, I was actually quite angry. I was saying, "What the hell is this book? This isn't scary at all." But then the second time I read it, I gave it 3 stars. Came in from a different angle, and I looked at it and I said, "Okay, I'm going to just focus on Eleanor, and I'm going to focus on the house, because there's definitely a relationship between the two there." Without going into spoilers, but I cannot get over the Karen. I'm sorry. And when that guy's wife, remember, what's a doctor? Montague. When Mrs. Montague comes in with the school headmaster, and this woman just, it reminded me of people that I don't care to be reminded of. I just wanted to throw the book against the wall. I'm sorry. It's just the way I am. And I just said at the end of my review, look, sometimes it's better just to move on. Not every book is for everyone.
Sure.
So
yeah, absolutely. I've definitely read some stuff that connected with others that I did not connect with at all. Just the way it is. That's what art is. It's subjective. Everyone takes something different. They put their own life experiences into it, and they get something else out of it. That's how it works.
And that's why booktube is so awesome, because everyone is different, and sometimes you're gonna have unpopular opinions there.
Yeah. On that note, I would love to hear your thoughts on Clive Barker, because I also want to preface this by saying it's not that I've read Clive Barker and I don't like him. It's that I haven't read Clive Barker. Yeah. I've seen the Hellraiser movies. I saw 1 and 2. They're not my favorite. Not a huge fan of them.
There are 2 different types of Clive Barker. There's 2 different ways you can approach Clive Barker. The horror Clive Barker, very dark, body horror, in which case you're going to go for books of blood, because his short stories, and actually that's the best way to find out about any author. If you like their short stories, you more than likely might engage with their novels a bit better. And the books of blood are very famous and very... Just go in there and read a couple. But that's horror. That's full-in horror. You've got a fantasy background, right? So with fantasy, you like the world building, right? You like the imaginative world building and the characters and the epic scope, right, of fantasy.
Yes.
You agree?
Yes.
Right? I used to read loads of high fantasy when I was younger. That was my thing, together with horror. Now, Weevil. Okay.
We got the dog.
Just look at this cover. Just look at this cover, man. Yeah. This cover. This is my prized possession, by the way. Okay. And you see on the outskirts of this book is a carpet.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to get it on the screen here, right? And it's the story is about a magical world woven into a carpet, right? To hide it from this evil force. Mm-hmm. It is imaginative. There's world building. There's incredibly crazy characters, but there's a lot of horror. There's a lot of horror in here as well. So this is like a dark fantasy with horror elements. And I think if you're going to read Clive Barker, I'll go with my little Weevil.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's very long. But this is probably in my top 3 books of all time. So this is what I go with.
Yeah. I don't mind long. I'm reading The Wheel of Time right now for the 2nd time. Ooh. So I'm okay with long books for sure. And I just show obviously we've read Stephen King's 1,000-page Doorstoppers. So okay. So yeah. All right. I'm gonna give Barker a shot. I'll try to do it this year. I have so many goals for myself this year of stuff that I want to read. It's daunting.
Tell me some of it. What do you really want to read? Any new genres or just horror?
Well, kind of new. So fantasy, horror, sci-fi has always been my jam. I'm a genre fiction guy through and through. I don't really do a ton of non-genre fiction.
I'm the same.
But I got into crime fiction kind of near the end of last year.
I know where you're going to go with this. Can I tell you where you're going to go with this? Can I show you a book?
Sure.
Can I show you a book? And I know exactly where you're going with this.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. I know what author you're going to talk about.
Yeah, McBain.
Yeah. McBain.
And the 87th precinct, yeah.
I've got about 40 of these, and I'm busy working through them. Pretty good.
Yeah. No, I picked up one on a whim from a used bookshop, liked it a lot, and now I just picked up another 15 the other day. They're fantastic. They're so much fun, and I never really thought of myself as a crime fiction guy. Those stories. It's not that I don't like them. It's just that I prefer the weird stuff. I like the stuff that's supernatural in some way, or the fantasy, or other worlds than these. to quote Stephen King. But yeah, I
Ooh,
got into crime fiction. Yeah. And I've been really having a great time with that. And honestly, this year, my horror reading has been really slow to start the year because I've been reading The Wheel of Time. I'm reading The Expanse right now. So that's another big series, and that's sci-fi. And as far as like comics and graphic novels, and this is gonna fall into Brad in the chat. He keeps asking about favorite comics. I've been going through Swamp Thing. This is my favorite comic, Brad. Which I will introduce you to. Brett, I know Brett personally. He is my nephew. But I would introduce you to Swamp Thing maybe when you're a little bit older, Brett. We'll see. But I've been making my way through that, and I have, after the Alan Moore Swamp Thing, I'm going to be reading Rick Veitch's Swamp Thing, and then the Nancy Collins Swamp Thing, and that's like another 50 issues. So that's also like on my goal list for the year to just plow through Swamp Thing. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, sorry I put that up a little bit late, but I'll get better.
No problem.
Okay, let's just see what else we got here. A lot of comments about Swamp Thing. Let's see if we're missing anything else. So I've been pretty bad with the comments. Yeah, much prefer Clive Barker's short fiction. Yeah, I love his epic fantasy, dark fantasy, but I love books of blood. And then Haunted Person Story, Mental Haunting. See, it's quite difficult to. You see what I'm doing here?
Yeah, I see.
You have to like kind of
take your time.
Yeah. I'm reading Books of Blood, Nisha. You will love it. I know you'll love it. Okay, I'm just going to go. Sorry if I missed any of you guys here. Interesting. I haven't read Clive Barker either. I have held off because I don't like Hellraiser films. You'll love the books. And I know you like dark stuff. You'll love the books. Body horror in Clive Barker is something to behold. That's for sure.
Yeah. Body horror is when it's done really well, it's really awesome.
It's done well.
I love The Thing. I love Reanimator, like that type of stuff. I'm into. But the Hellraiser movies, for some reason, I was just like, But the books, different story.
Don't worry, Cliff. It's virtually impossible to keep up with comments and still have a good conversation.
Yeah, that's true.
That is so true. I'm just sitting here thinking, what am I doing here? But anyway, what did you think? Talking about body horror and talk about movies and books. I was very disappointed in a book this year that everyone raved about. Now, this is the book that everyone spoke about. This is the book that everyone spoke about, but basically, it fell flat for me, and that was the truth. That was the truth.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, do you agree? Yes, we agree with something. Yeah. If the body horror was just repetitive, I know some people in the comments are going to say, come on, it was awesome. For me, it was just repetitive and gratuitous and predictable, right?
Yes.
You knew what was going to happen. You knew what was going to happen in the story.
Yes.
I'm not going to tell the details of the story because I don't want to spoil it. But for me, it was just not a terrible story. I gave it 3 stars, but it was just gratuitous.
Yeah, I was disappointed.
When you read Clive Barker, if you read Clive Barker Books of Blood, you'll see what I mean.
Okay.
He's got a way about writing. It's like
gotcha. Different. Yeah, no, the troop I found, the body horror stuff was like, it was gross, but like that's all I got out of that book because I think all of the characters, all the kids in that book behaved in completely unrealistic ways. And they were very obviously like archetypes that I knew how they were going to behave before they did it. And I was
you had the psycho, you had the this, you had the this.
I was like, the one psychotic kid, I was like, this is like if a Stephen King bully had his own book, it's like the one side character who goes way too far, is now the main character. I see why people like it. It is a very squirmy book, but I did not get a lot out of it. I think when I read it last year, I was near the bottom of my list of my reads.
Yeah. I just want to thank you. You got a question here, Nick?
Oh. If the world was under a zombie invasion, what books would you take with you into a bunker? I'm going. How many do I get? Okay, so
Let's say you get 3 books. 3 books. No
all right.
more.
So how about in terms of like comics? Am I able to bring like a full run with me? Am I able to bring like one graphic novel? Like, let's see.
You can have a
Okay.
graphic novel. We'll give you that.
Okay.
But 2 books and 1 graphic novel.
That's tough. So I'm torn. So probably I would bring graphic novels over regular books because I think that I get a little bit more out of them. But I'm gonna say Swamp Thing volume. Oof. I'm gonna try to sneak in all of the Swamp Things, all of the Alan Moore Swamp Things. What's a book?
You just love the Swamp Thing, right?
Yes. So what I've been noticing in my reread that I've been doing on the channel is like there's so much to his comics that you can find new things every time you read it. So I love a comic like that. In terms of books, I would say honestly, oh man, forced me to bring like a Ray Bradbury or like
Ray Bradbury. Ray Bradbury's awesome.
yeah, I'm trying to think of which Bradbury I would bring with me.
I would take a Ray Bradbury possibly with me. What's your favorite Ray Bradbury?
It depends on my mood. If I want something like very sweet and like that's gonna give me a lot of emotions, I'll take Dandelion Wine. But if I want to read something that really stimulates like a more just a different intelligent part of my brain, I would take like Fahrenheit 451. If I want to take something that I think is going to age really well over time, I'm going to take something Wicked This Way Comes.
Yeah, that's a book I would take.
Yeah,
I love that.
Which Something Wicked?
Yeah, Something Wicked. Yeah. Hey, Paul. Hi, Cole. How you doing? Agrees with us.
And maybe I bring. Yeah, you know what? My partner called it out in the chat. Boy's Life by Robert McCammon. Loved that one. That's a book I can read forever.
Have you read Swan Song?
Yes, love Swan Song. Love it.
Did you prefer Boy's Life?
I mean, they scratch very different itches. It's hard to say.
And they're both right up there in my top 10.
Yeah.
They in my top 10 horrors of all, even books of all time. They're up there.
Yeah, I would say 2 years ago I read Swan Song in 2022, and that was my top book of the year. I read Boy's Life in 2023. That was my top book of the year. So that's 2 years in a row I had McCammon in my number 1 book.
My favorite author there.
Yeah, I have this next to me as well, mine. I love this one as well.
I'm going to be reading that in April. I'm going to be reading it in April. A buddy read with someone. I'm going to be reading it. Yeah.
Nice. This one, I would say, of all of his books, this is the one that was this is the most tense I've read from him so far. Like in terms of actual terror, this one has been the best one.
So just looking at the blurb, it sounds more like a thriller, or more like a psychological thriller.
It is very much a thriller. Very much a thriller. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'm trying to think what other books. Yeah, the one I try to sell to you, Weave World, definitely go on the island with me. Probably Swan Song. And I'd like the complete collection of Ray Bradbury.
Yeah.
Some lighter stuff. You know?
Impossible to pick. Hold on. There was another. You
check his question here.
What do I think of extreme horror, and have I read any? I haven't read any. I honestly don't know if it's going to be my thing. Extreme horror. If someone could give me a good recommendation of like, if there's such a thing as beginner extreme horror, please recommend me one.
Yeah, I can give you it.
Yeah, because I'm a little scared to start it because what I like about horror, like I said, is I like a lot of creativity. I like to be able to feel a little bit of adrenaline and then get that release. But I don't like horror that makes me feel like disgusted.
I've got a book for you.
Yeah.
I've got a book for you because it's not nearly as extreme as pretty much extreme horror. It's very much an entry level.
Yeah.
And that is Gone to See the Riverman by Christopher Triani.
Okay. That one
Yeah.
I have on my Kindle.
That was a 5-star. That was a 5-star for me. It's so imaginative, and it's not gratuitous. It didn't make me feel. Yeah, there's some hectic scenes. There's some parts of the book that actually make you feel uncomfortable, but in a different way. It's not like just slice and dice for the sake of slicing and dicing.
Okay.
I would recommend that. I think you might like it. And it's also got some interesting world building and quite imaginative writing. Bad and I are doing a book review on Return to the Black Farm. We've already done the Black Farm. I would not recommend that. I would not. Don't go there. Don't go there.
Well,
I really enjoyed it, but don't go there. No,
someone in the chat, please read your book in the chat, said, try the Black Farm.
No. That is a very, very hard thing. It's not good.
Okay. I have gone to see The Riverman on my Kindle, so it's there waiting for me. I'm going to try to get to it this year. Yeah. I don't know why.
What? Someone says I've got the Ray Bradbury song stuck in my ear.
It's the Ray Bradbury song.
What's the Ray Bradbury song? Stuck in my head? Tell me, Nim, what's that song?
Let us know.
Good morning, Crits. I don't know what that song is. Ray. Okay, we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
We got another question from Baghdad.
If there was a horror author passed away or alive, who would it be? What would you order to eat at a restaurant meeting? All right, so who would I want to meet, dead or alive horror author?
To order to eat at a restaurant meeting.
And when would I? So which horror author, dead or alive, would I meet at a restaurant, and what would I order while eating with them? I don't know. I don't want to go with somebody like everybody knows. Like I honestly, I don't really have a ton. I feel like I would have a lot to talk about with Stephen King just because I've read a lot of his stuff and seen a lot of his movies. But I would love to meet Robert McCammon. Because I find him really fascinating. And this is, I don't know if this is going to make any sense to anyone else, but I know that he's from Alabama. Yeah. And I believe he is, he's Catholic or Christian. But a lot of his writing, I feel like, is very critical of religion. Particularly
maybe organized religion. And
I would just love to kind of pick his brain about like being from Alabama, but writing about being critical of organized religion in Alabama for his entire career, like from the 80s onward.
Isn't it? I don't know much about the Deep South. I mean, I'm South Africa, but I've noticed a lot of books about the Deep South and Alabama, and so there's a lot of sort of religious themes of sort of what do you call it? Kind of a
persecution.
Not prosecution. But you take religion too far. What's it?
Extremism.
Extreme religion, like kind of a what do you call it, man? Like in some of Stephen King's novels, where you know, have crazy pastors.
It's like religious extremists.
Yeah. I don't know. That's the thing in Alabama. So you say he's from Alabama.
He's from Alabama, and I've been to Alabama, and they are.
Maybe that's why he talks about it, because if he's from there, he's maybe from his childhood experiences of parents from family that.
And I would just and I would just love to hear about that. Particularly, he had his book Mystery Walk. I think is really critical of fundamentalism and like the evangelism.
Yeah, that was a good book.
Yeah, it's a really good book. So yeah, I guess I would pick him. Yeah. Ooh, chat's blowing up right now.
Yeah. I'll just talk about Clive Barker and ask him to show me his paintings.
Have you ever?
He's a painter.
Yeah. Have you ever seen his any of his comic work that like he did the art for?
I know that Aberrat is a YA thing where he does the artwork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is from Taboo. He did some illustrations in Taboo magazine.
You just have to look at the one. Go to his website and you'll see. Go to his website and you'll see plenty.
Yeah.
You can go to his Cloud Barker website. You'll see all his. He's got a massive website with all sorts of his own stuff. Yeah, he's a famous painter. He's had shows. He's had all sorts of stuff.
He's a bit of an everyman. He's
done everything.
Everything. Yeah.
Yeah. He was a playwright when he was younger as well. Yeah. Okay, let's have a look here. Otherwise, we can just move on to. I still don't know what the Ray Bradbury song is.
Yeah, let me see if I could find.
Does anyone know? Can you help me?
Leslie Powell McCarty says her 3 books are Salem's Lot, The White Plague, and Swan Song. Salem's Lot's a really good choice. That's a very underrated Stephen King book, in my opinion. I think it gets forgotten a lot when people talk about his greatest. I don't know The White Plague.
White Plague.
White Plague. I don't know that one.
Community is amazing. Sorry, you know that Dave is completely right. I can't do this the whole time.
Nah, don't even worry about it, because you know what? The chat blew up when we were talking just there, so there's so many comments now.
Yeah, I know, it's going crazy.
Don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
Let me see.
What horror is the soft spot for you? Hang on, let me see this. Gareth?
Okay.
What horror has hit the soft spot for you on TV? Not to answer questions now.
Recently? So it's not really like, I mean, I don't know that it's really horror, but Buffy the Vampire Slayer is my favorite TV show of all time.
Yeah.
But
I'm going to keep very quiet here because I'm not going to be able to say anything yet.
But it's not really like horror. I would say good spooky show. There's a show that there was a show about for The Exorcist that was on the air. It ran for 2 seasons. I don't even know, like 10 years ago, 5 years ago, who even knows? But it was a surprisingly really good show.
A TV show. The Exorcist TV show.
Exorcist TV show. And it's surprisingly good. The 2 seasons, like they're you know what? I don't really want to give anything away. But I think it's on Hulu. So if anyone's got Hulu, in the US at least, it's on Hulu. Go find that. That was a surprisingly good show. I liked the first 2 seasons of Penny Dreadful. Let me see. And there was a Swamp Thing TV show that was wrongfully canceled after 1 season, which is
Can
great.
I put your name? Can I put your name? Can I put your name? I recommend a show. It's not really horror.
Yeah.
But it is very, very dark and it is brilliant. And that is a show, we don't watch a lot of TV. And this is quite an old show, but it's called Carnival. I don't know if any of you have heard of it. It's a kind of good versus evil. And it's in a carnival, and I think it's the Depression, American Depression. It's in the 50s or 40s, I'm not sure, like a dust bowl. And it's about this person who might be the savior, and this other guy, this preacher, who might be the devil. And it is absolutely weird and absolutely brilliant. So anyone in the comments has actually heard of that, let me know, because that I highly recommend. And then my favorite miniseries of all time, not a horror, sorry, but it's Band of Brothers. I'm just going to say that. Just put it out there. Just put it out there. That's. I've watched that 5 times the whole way through, episode 1 to 9.
Yeah,
I absolutely love that miniseries. It's such a human story. It's such a powerful story. Such a human story. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to watch it. I've never seen it. I've heard amazing things about it. Yeah. I don't watch a ton of television either. I mean, my partner and I, we'll have like one TV show that, like, if we're in the mood, we'll put another episode on. But we don't keep up with a lot of like new TV. I much prefer reading.
Yeah, we don't at all. The only thing I do now really is booktube, and we sit outside by the fire, listen to the ocean, Go for a walk, or I do booktube and I read. Every now and then I watch a video, but it tends to kind of be one of the movies that we've seen over and over again. Something really stupid. I'm not going to say what, because I might lose like 1,000 subscribers straight away. But it's just something stupid and mindless, and then we'll watch it together. I don't really do modern stuff, hey?
I think this is maybe too long of a conversation for the last, I don't know how much longer we're going to go, 5 minutes or so, but I used to be a film critic. I studied film. I have a degree in film criticism and film study, and I only worked in the industry for like a year or so, and it made me really jaded because I got so frustrated with how kind of boring new movies were. Like, so when you see enough of them, they all just start to like feel exactly the same and blend together. That's another reason why I'm so very much I really try to only watch horror movies now, because I feel like horror is one of the only genres left where filmmakers are taking big risks and taking big swings and doing weird stuff and trying things that are different. Of course, there's exceptions. I've seen some good non-horror movies that are recent. But
actually, my wife is watching more horror than I am, because when I'm doing booktube, she sits outside and watches on. She watches all sorts of stuff. I just have to quickly comment on this, because I saw. Not everyone agrees, but I think The Resurrectionist by Ross James Wright is brilliant. I'm sorry, I have to completely disagree. That is one of the books I DNF'd this year. I found it torture porn, and I don't think you will like it. Sorry, Dave. Actually having fun again. I'm listening to you. Don't worry, Nick. I'm listening to you. Some of these comments are cracking me up. Let's see what my wife says. We haven't looked at her yet. She says, why is she not showing?
There we go. Don't try ritual.
Yeah. It's terrible. It's sort of a self mutilation, and then self cannibalism, and it just goes absolutely freaking ridiculous. Don't do that.
Okay, I will not do that one. I've heard of Graham Masterson. I think it might be too extreme for me.
Say that again.
I've heard of Graham Masterson. I think it might be too extreme for me.
Yeah, no, it's no. There's some brilliant books by him. Won't be too bad.
Okay.
If you've read if you read Swan Song, you're not going to have any problem with Graham Masterson.
Oh, okay.
Probably read The Mirror. Very good. And then what's the other one? Can't remember. But there's a couple that are over the top, but I don't think you'll have a problem with it. Really, to be honest. Okay, I can't read all these comments. He's so right. Otherwise, I'm just going to be distracted the whole time.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
But we're having a hell of a lot of fun, right?
Yes. Yeah. I think the conversation is what the people want. And if I called good comments, I call them out, but we got most of them, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And in fact, the fact that you're actually calling out and helping me, that's the best thing. Yeah.
Actually, there's one that we missed that I would love to just call out for to kind of wrap things up.
Who's it by?
Bad is Rad. It's up higher above Alicia's comment on mine from 10:44 a.m. my time. Nick, what horror book would you first recommend to a person who started to read horror?
Wait, hang on. Is it further up, or am I going too high?
It's a little.
Here it is. Yeah, here it is. Okay.
There we go. Yeah. I think this is a good conversation. I think this is a good a good conversation to have, because it's going to depend on the type of horror you like, but I think if you are dipping your toe in the genre and you don't want things to be too messy and too bloody and too intense, but you want to get that flavor, I've been really enjoying the works of Darcy Coates these past few months. She's a newer author, and she's very prolific. I think she's got
never heard. I still need to read it.
I have a review up. I have a few reviews of her books up on my channel. The big one that I would highly recommend is called From Below, and it was very that was one of the scariest books I read last year. It's probably the scariest I read last year. One of my scariest ever because it takes place in the ocean. It's about scuba divers. A documentary film crew like exploring a shipwreck.
That appeals to me.
Yeah,
that appeals to me.
I am not good with the deep ocean. Like I don't like the ocean. I'm freaked out by it. So that whole book basically takes place underwater. In like just the stress of that. Like it's scary even before the scary stuff starts to happen. I like that book was freaking me out. So I would say Darcy Coates is a good one to start with because Secrets. Yeah, the most recent comment. I've heard it's less cozy than her other books. Yes, I would say cozy horror is kind of her niche, but From Below was not cozy to me. It was very stressful. So I would say give a start there, but also pull up Stephen King's Wikipedia page and like throw a dart or just see which synopsis really sings to you. Because there's a reason he's the king of horror. There's a reason he's the best.
Short stories. Short stories. Really, if you want to get into horror, read short stories. Stephen King, short stories.
Night Shift.
He's got 6 volumes. He's got 7 volumes. Read some of his novellas, short and sweet, and you can get a feel. But that's for Stephen King. But for any horror author, you read their short stories, you can actually get a feel for how they write, whether you like the genre, because it's still dark. And another thing is to read some YA. Read some YA horror, like Coraline by Neil Gaiman, just something very, very entry level. I love Neil Gaiman. You know, like dark fantasy. Coraline. What's the other one? The Graveyard Book.
Graveyard Book. I love the Graveyard Book.
Oh, so brilliant. But when you say like someone who wants to really gently tip their toes into something more spooky, then something like that, even though it's very YA. But yeah, if you want to get into Stephen King, read his short stories, man. Got lots of them, and he's a master of craft. And then you can read some of his longer stuff, and that's my take on it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a good way to go.
No awkward silences, yeah.
Well, I didn't know if you were gonna segue or. I agree. As long as you're starting to read horror, it doesn't. I mean, it's up to you. It depends on what you want. Neil Gaiman, like you said, Graveyard Books is actually a really good one. Coraline's a great one. Stephen King short stories, yeah.
I actually want to do a video soon on Neil Gaiman because I love Neil Gaiman.
Yeah,
I'm actually really, really upset because when we moved here, we lost a lot of books, and I lost my favorite book by him, Neverwhere. I don't know if you've read that, Neverwhere.
I've read it, yeah.
My favorite book by him. So yeah, that was you know, when you lose something like that, it's like. But I want to do like a little bit of a Neil Gaiman show, so we'll see with the ones that I've got.
Yeah, I need to reread a couple Neil Gaiman books. I also want to do like a ranking video of like, just putting his, because I've read, I think, all of his novels. I think I've read them all. Not all of his short story collections, but all of his novels I've read. But I forgot like a lot about Anansi Boys. I don't remember Neverwhere a ton.
I haven't read that one.
Yeah, it's like a spin-off from American Gods. And of course, if we're talking Neil Gaiman, I can't let this go by without talking about Sandman. If this is my number 1 comic of all time, Sandman is my number 2. Sandman is brilliant.
Okay, now I really hate you. No, I'm just kidding. Sandman, I would give anything to get hold of that whole series because I love Neil Gaiman. So if there's any graphic novel that I want to get hold of, a series, then it would be probably the Sandman now. But yeah, maybe I'll just import it.
Might be worth it. Yeah.
Oh, this was awesome, man. This was really, really awesome. I'm just trying to think if anyone's got any like final thoughts. Just how to wrap up, so I don't look stupid. Let's just wrap up nicely, put it in a bow.
I don't know if I have anything that I want to like pitch or to check out my channel, please. I do.
Check out his channel.
I do book content during the week, and I do comic and graphic novel content during the weekends. What I do on the weekends is I do read-alongs. I put a comic book down on the table, and I flip through it page by page, and I talk about what's going on with the story, what I like about with the artwork. I've been doing Swamp Thing Saturday for the past 5 months, where I've been going through one issue of Alan Moore's Swamp Thing every week, and that's coming to an end soon because I have 6 issues left of that. And then also on Sundays, randomly, I'll have just a random other issue, just of any comic that catches my eye, and I just talk about that. So a lot of I talk about everything on my channel. And if you are, I am a huge graphic novel comic person. I think people that say graphic comics and graphic novels aren't real reading are wrong, unbelievably so wrong. And I want to prove that to you. So if you're thinking of getting into that medium, please check out my channel, and let me prove it to you, because there's a lot of great stuff. There are a lot of great comics out there that you are missing out on, probably. So that's all I'll say. So sign off.
I just want to say I'm sorry, Chris, I didn't actually see your comment, but thanks for watching. Yeah, I think if you want to watch, want to see the Riverman, Nick, it doesn't feel extreme. It doesn't feel like an extreme novel, but it is. It has very extreme scenes. It doesn't feel gratuitous. So if you want to try something, you might. It's good world building. So yeah, I just want to conclude by saying, thank you so much for being on my channel. And this was fun. And this makes it even more special that this was my very first live stream.
Good job, everybody. Good job, everybody in the comments. Thanks for participating. Good job.
Thanks, guys. And yeah, I suppose that's it, eh? And check out every Sunday, guys. I want to find people, small, big, doesn't matter. Gonna talk. I know I've already chatted to Please Read Your Book. We're gonna have a chat soon. But yeah, I'm gonna chat to you again soon, guys, and we'll see you later. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being so patient. And we are going to go. Take care of yourselves. Keep those pages turning.
Bye, everybody.
3, 2, 1, out. Oh, no, wait. I've got to press again. Out.